Hey, what is happening, my fearless networking friend, Todd Falcone? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back to another episode in this Prospecting Mastery series. And the whole objective of this series is to have multiple videos or multiple podcasts on the same subject matter, working you to the development and the sharpening of your craft, right? To take this concept, this very critical concept in network marketing, which is prospecting and recruiting, and you having a pathway to improving on getting better. Because again, and I've mentioned this in multiple episodes, the sharper your saw, the sharper the edge, the better the result, right? And I'm sure we'll all agree that some people are better at recruiting than others. Some people seem to be, I don't know, they're able to bring in a lot more people than this other person. And sometimes it's just that person's working harder, but typically they may be working harder, but they're just better at it. So my objective through the series is to give you a framework and a way for you to improve your recruiting skills. So in this particular episode, I want to talk about a concept that I've taught for many years. I believe it has it'll enable you when you apply it, and you have to think about it to improve your prospecting skills and across the board in this business, other things that you might do. And there are other things that we do in addition to prospecting and recruiting, of course. But this particular concept or idea is pretty simple, okay? But you need to think about it, and you need to have a sense of awareness when you're actually doing things in order to apply this. So the concept, like for example, when I talk about success, and there are many different definitions of success, but one way of phrasing, or one way I've phrased success is, well, okay, succeeding is repeating the things that work and deleting the things that don't work. Repeat what works, delete what doesn't. So if you do something and it works, you do it again and again and again. If you do something and it doesn't work, you delete it, okay? So when it comes to prospecting and recruiting and building your business, if you say or do something and you're like, wow, holy smokes, the prospect responded so amazingly when I said that, well, you should take literal note and write it down and go, okay, I want to repeat that. I got to make sure I'm doing that again, whatever I just did. You may not even know what you did, which is this is where recording some of your calls and a cross-section of your experiences also is valuable, because then you're like, you can go, wait a minute, I said this or asked this question, the prospect, all of a sudden, they lit up and they got all excited. Well, what did I say? Okay, now I can go back and listen to what I said so I can repeat that again. And then in some cases, you might be on the phone with somebody or in conversation, and all of a sudden, they totally tune out. And you're like, why did they tune out? What did I do? Well, you said this. You kept stepping on their conversation, and you'd ask them a question, and they started to answer the question, but then you cut them off mid-sentence, which clearly shows you didn't care about what they were saying, because you cut them off mid-sentence. I mean, these are just a couple of examples of what I'm talking about. I mean, I'll give you a true story. Years and years and years ago, when I first started network marketing, I was not making any money. I was in my first year of doing the business, hustling, seeing no production, no results, becoming increasingly frustrated, and just wondering, am I cut out for this game? Am I cut out for this business of network marketing? I mean, there's days I'd go home and I'd be in a ball crying, like, what's wrong with me? It's happening for other people. Why is it not happening for me? And I had this woman that came in and she saw our business briefing, and she said, I'm coming back on Saturday. I'm going to come in as a direct distributor. And back then it was like $5,000 to come in. I'm like all excited that this woman's coming in on Saturday. She's coming to our Saturday training. She's going to come in with her $5,000 and she's going to start the business. And on Saturday, she didn't show up at all. And she totally no-showed. She didn't return my calls. She became part of the prospect protection program and totally disappeared. And in my moment of weakness, in my moment of frustration, I picked up the phone, I called her, and I got her voicemail, and I laid into her on the voicemail. I was like, I'm sure I used a bunch of choice words. It was a total moment of weakness. And that was the voicemail that I left for her. And then 2 days later, I pick up my office phone. I'm like, good afternoon, this is Todd. And it was the CEO of our company. And he had never called me before. He got my phone number at my desk, called me, And he goes, I heard the voicemail from this woman. He goes, if you ever do that again, you're never going to, I mean, the stuff that, he scared the crap out of me. And needless to say, that went into the delete folder. Like, don't ever do that again, right? And I knew better even while I was doing it. It was a moment of weakness. So even though you might not be doing something as bad as what I did, the level of awareness that you need to have so that you can make improvements is really, really important, okay? So a lot of times when we're going through the action, it's hard to review what we're doing while we're doing it. But sometimes, you know, like for example, you go on auto, like a lot of times we were on autopilot. Like you drive home from the store and you're like, did I stop at the stop sign? How did I get here? You're like, you've done it so many times that you're literally on autopilot. So you're actually doing it, but you've done it so many times that you're not really paying attention to it. I think a lot of you guys understand this example that I'm giving to you. You're taking your kids to school and you're like, I know there's a stop sign. I think I stopped. You probably did stop because you're just on autopilot and you're not really paying attention. So this, and I would say this, okay, put the words pay attention in front of you, right? Like someplace like you can see it. So when you're doing your prospecting, it reminds you to pay attention to what you're doing, to pay attention to be fully present in that moment so you can pick up on things that you're doing that are working well. You're picking up on things that, you know, maybe you did and it didn't work out so well for you. So again, this is another pathway to improvement so that you can achieve ultimately prospecting mastery, because that's what you're looking to do, right? You're looking to get as good as you possibly can. And if you're just going through the motions and doing your routine and never like paying attention to the things that you do, you're never going to improve. And it's interesting, and by the way, this is not some thing that's only for network marketers where they struggle with this. Professional salespeople, I read a study years ago, and there were all these people that had, it was a study about salespeople that had a high performing month, like a super performing month, and then the next month they had a terrible month. And it wasn't a seasonal differences or the market had shifted. It was essentially the same kind of environment, yet they couldn't replicate the success the next month because they couldn't essentially remember what they did the previous month to duplicate it or replicate it again. And so the key thing here is for you to remember the things that work well for you and to continue to do those things, and the things that you're doing that aren't working well, whatever those are, in whatever aspect of this business, you pull them out of the equation, okay? That's just kind of like, it's like feeling and finding your way to getting better and improving. But again, it requires you paying attention. It requires you being mentally present to the concept and the idea of you getting better at this game. And so whatever you got to do to remember or get yourself off of autopilot and being like, you know, your hands are on the wheel and you're in control and you're mentally in control so that you can make adjustments or be aware of things that are working or not working, that's what's going to get you to where you need to go. So if you're on my YouTube channel, I appreciate you guys plugging in on YouTube. If you're on my podcast, love you guys so much as well. You want to get the rest of the details on this episode. All the other episodes on this Prospecting Mastery series are here at toddfalcone.com. Right at the top of the page, it says videos, blog. That's where you can back up and you can go back to all of these episodes. This particular episode, you can find it at toddfalcone.com/episode 176. Again, toddfalcone.com/episode 176. And we will see you on the next one.